Chapter 1 of the Cheerful Smugglers. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Cheerful Smugglers by Ellis Parker Butler. Chapter 1. The Fenelby Tariff. Bobberts was the baby, and ever since Bobberts was born, and that was 9 months next Wednesday, and just look what a big fat boy he is now, his parents had been putting all their pennies into a little pottery pig, so that when Bobberts reached the proper age he could go to college. The money in the little pig bank was officially known as Bobberts' Education Fund. And next to Bobberts himself was the thing in the house most talked about. It was, "Tom, dear, have you put your pennies in the bank this evening?" Or, "I say, Laura, how about Bobberts' pennies today? Are you holding out on him?" And then, when they came to count the contents of the bank, there were only $23.38 in it after 9 months of faithful penny contributions. That was how Fenelby, who had a great mind for such things, came to think of the Fenelby tariff. It was evident that the penny system could not be counted on to pile up a sum large enough to see Bobberts through Yale, and leave a margin big enough for him to live on while he was getting firmly established in his profession, whatever that profession might be. What was needed in the Fenelby family was a system that would save money for Bobberts gently and easily, and that would not be easy to forget, nor be too palpable a strain on the Fenelby income. Something that would make them save in spite of themselves. Not a direct tax, but what you might call an indirect tax. And right there was where and how the idea came to Fenelby. "That's the idea," he said to Mrs. Fenelby. "That is the very thing we want, an indirect tax, just as this nation pays its taxes, and the tariff is the very thing. It's as simple as ABC. The nation charges a duty on everything that comes into the country. We will charge a duty on everything that comes into the house, and the money goes into Bobberts' Education Fund. We won't miss the money that way. That's the beauty of an indirect tax. You don't know you are paying it. The government collects a little on one thing that is imported, and then a little on another, and no one cares, because the amount is so small on each thing, and yet look at the total, hundreds of millions of dollars." "Goodness!" exclaimed Mrs. Fenelby. "Can we save that much for Bobberts? Of course, not hundreds of millions, but if we could save even $100,000 "Laura," said Mr. Fenelby, "I don't believe you understand what I mean. If you would pay a little closer attention when I am explaining things, you would understand better. A tariff doesn't make money out of nothing. How could we save $100,000 out of my salary when the whole salary is only $2,500 a year, and we spend every cent of it?" "But, Tom, dear," said Mrs. Fenelby, "how can I help spending it? You know I am just as economical as I can be. You said yourself that we couldn't live on a cent less than we are spending. You know I would be only too glad to save if I could, and I didn't get that new dress until you just begged and begged me to get it, and—" "I know," said Mr. Fenelby kindly. "I think you do wonders with that $2,500. I don't see how you do it. I couldn't. And that is just why I say we ought to have a domestic tariff. I don't see how we can ever save enough to send Bobberts to college unless we have some system. We spend every cent of my $2,500 every year, and we could never in the world take $250 out of it at one time and put it in the bank for Bobberts, could we? We
Sample complete. Ready to continue?